Namaskar. Welcome to this session. Having considered Yamas and Niyamas and then Yamas and Niyamas as Vratas, vows, and being vows, how the violation has a greater meaning. When we are practicing Yamas and Niyamas, if they are violated, we least bother about it. We take it as a holiday mood, and holiday mood we do odd things. So we think it was just a holiday. But Patanjali is not mentioning these normative principles as practices in life. They come as vratas because Ashtanga Yoga is Anusthana, and being Anusthana, the practices must be of the caliber of and of the culture of the nature of vrata vaikalya. So the point is that Yamas and Niyamas were mentioned. So herein we have to understand the difference between Ahimsa vritti, Ahimsa vrata, Satya vritti, Satya vrata, Asteya vritti, Asteya vrata, Brahmacharya vritti and Brahmacharya vrata. Or Ahimsa as a practice and Ahimsa as a vow. Satya as a practice and Satya as a vow. Similar the case of Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha, how they are as practices and how they are as vows. And Patanjali is mentioning vows. And then of course, therefore the Vitarka Bada has a different implication. The prick of violation is greater prick to conscience, and therefore Pratipaksha Bhavana becomes so important. That is fervor to reform, fervor to anticipate any violation, set aside any violation that comes in our way. So when as I just now said today, that if you are practicing and on a day the practice is violated, mitigated, compromised, we don't bother about it, we just take it as one of those holidays. But Patanjali is speaking on a serious note. The Adhamadikari, who is Ashtanga Yoga Adhikari, would not be entertaining such holiday moods and holiday interruptions, holiday kind of interruptions in practices and adherences. And that's why I've been repeatedly saying during every Yama and Niyama that these are not moral ethical principles, these are ethico-religious principles, precisely dharma, niti, achara niti, pranali. So Patanjali is mentioning dharma, achara, niti, pranali. Now, another thing to be noted that Patanjali is not telling us about what is ahimsa. Like in normative sciences, we are told about what is ahimsa, what is himsa, how to restrain from himsa and how to be adhering ahimsa. What is satya, what is asatya, what is asteya, what is steya, what is brahmacharya, what is abrahmacharya, what is aparigraha, what is parigraha, and from where should we be in ourselves away, and with what should we engage ourselves with. Patanjali is not describing. He has not described ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha. He has not described shaucha, santosha, tapaswadhyaya, sharpanadana. He has prescribed. Now we are coming to that part where we need to have our own analysis as to what is really Patanjali meaning by Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmachari, Aparigraha, Shaucha, Santosh, Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishvara. What does he really mean? So it is an interesting observation here that Patanjali has not described the Yamas and Niyamas, has only prescribed Yamas and Niyamas. But he has given a direction for us to ascertain as to what is the description of Yamas and Niyamas. He has left it to our Swabuddhi. We have got to ascertain what are they. So description has to be arrived at by our thought process. He has merely prescribed. And in order that we are able to arrive at it, it's not just imagination as to what it might be and what it might not be not. Rather than doing that, he embarks upon the topic of Phalita, of vrata siddhi. That means when these vows are accomplished, what is the consequence? So from the consequence, we have to now arrive at the process. We have, from the consequence of Ahimsa, we should know what is Ahimsa, what is the process of Ahimsa. With the consequence of practicing and accomplishing the vrata of Satya, we have to arrive at as to what is Satya, what is the process of Satya. So, that is the approach of Darshanikas, because they have to mention everything aphoristically. Darshanas are not descriptive philosophies. They are codified philosophies, aphoristic philosophies. And therefore they have to be very, very, very conservative with the words. They cannot be liberally using the words. Because Patanjali has taken recourse to only 195 sutras to postulate his own philosophy. And that's why it is so very brief. And because it is brief, he, as other Sutrakaaras, had to take recourse to such kind of process. So now we are coming to Yama Niyama Phalita, consequences of the vrata, consequence of vrata siddhi, accomplishment of vows. From that we have to deduce what is Ahimsa, what is Satya, what is Asteya, what is Brahmacharya, what is Aparigraha, what is Shaucha, what is Santosha, what is Tapas, what is Swadhyaya, what is Ishvara. Now we are arriving at the description of it. However, I gave you the description because otherwise you would not have understood the topic. And I repeatedly said these are not moral ethical principles. Now here is the kind of validity to such a position which I repeatedly took. And now you will find how Patanjali himself is positing this, that Yamas and Niyamas are not restraints and observances as may be postulated by normative sciences. So, the description of Yamas and Niyamas is to be sought here now. Of course, I have given it to you, I have described all that to you, but now you get the proof for all that has been described. So let me commence by saying that suppose we practice moral ethical principle of Ahimsa. non-injury. What is the consequence? Now you can easily imagine. Suppose you are practicing Ahimsa as a moral principle and ethical principle. What would be the consequence? You will know that the moral ethical principle of Yamas and Niyamas cannot really be practiced as vow, because we will have to consider our conveniency. It is not everywhere, every time, all the time convenient to be embracing such principles. The moral ethical principles are such that we consider our business dynamics of life, activity of life, and suitably adopt to those. Whenever it is convenient, we will adhere to those. And we will realize that many times they cost us. Practicing these norms many times materially cost us. You are losers by adhering to Satya quite vehemently and as a dogma. It is convenient to be embracing asatya for materialistic gains. And you can easily imagine that by practicing these norms, one will not be really a successful person in practicality of life. Because many times it becomes practical and practicable to be adhering to the opposites. Like adhering to Ahimsa. It's a simple example. If your life is threatened, what are you going to do? And then we have our own tendencies. We want to harm some people. We have likes and dislikes. We like someone, we dislike someone. So our stances are changing between the persons whom we like and persons whom we don't like. Persons whom we love and persons whom we loathe. Now, as worldly man, common human being, we cannot be free from not having love and loath, attachment and aversion, likes and dislikes. And if you come across such a person that who doesn't have all those things, then it is hyponeurosis. It's a disease. If somebody doesn't react to likes and dislikes, then it is a diseased condition of the mind. Now, if you have likes and dislikes and loves and loaths and attachments and aversions and priorities and neglects, you are going to have different dynamics towards all these polarities of conditions. So, more often it is more practicable to be adhering to opposites. Otherwise, you won't save you. You won't save yourself in this the gravities of the mundane world. So we will speak the truth if it is practicable, and if it is not, we will just axe the principle at the root, perhaps. We will go for the opposite and take the benefit that comes our way. Because more often we see that there are benefits coming our way when we are compromising and prepared to compromise in morality, ethicality. If you stick to morality, ethicality dogmatically, then you can be a pauper in life, you can be insolvent in your life, you will be miserable in your life. Leave aside not only becoming glorious, but you will become a destitute. So, very objective view of life will tell you, worldly life, mundane life, that you will have to be prepared. Whenever it is ideal, when it is not harming, when it is not making you lose, you will practice Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Parigraha. But what will you do if you are citing that you are going to be loser by practicing Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya? Without hesitation, you will embrace the opposites. That's how the dynamics of life are in mundane worldly life. So, point is, you can imagine if somebody is practicing dogmatically, vehemently Ahimsa, how the life will be. It will be invariably a miserable life. If somebody similarly dogmatically, vehemently adheres to Satya, how the life will be. Ultimately, the balance sheet will show you that the life has greater losses. It has incurred greater losses, it has faced greater losses, deprivations. If you are dogmatically practicing Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha, you are at great loss by being in worldly dynamics. So to be in Laukika and then to be dogmatically adhering to these principles, we are heading towards our own deprivation, destitution, insolvency and problem engulfed conditions. And that's why somebody is said to be a prudent person when he shifts the gears between right and left, the virtue and vice, proper and improper. Many times to be opting for improper is beneficial to us, and not opting for that and then vehemently and dogmatically sticking to the proper, you are depriving yourself, you are also incurring loss, you are facing loss, you are facing problems. So we are able to avoid the problems by using the opposite principles to moral ethical principles as shields. They will work as shields and they will protect us. This is what the objective view of the life will tell you. So point is, imagine what is the consequence of Ahimsa if we decide to practice as moral ethical principle. Try to take an assessment of your life, that you are uncompromisingly, vehemently, dogmatically on the path of Ahimsa, on the path of Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha, Shaucha, Santosha, Tapas, Svadhyaya, Ishwar. So I leave it to your own imagination. And that is why I have been repeatedly telling you that these are not moral ethical principles. These are Achara Dharmaniti Pranali, ethico-religious systems, as I approximately translated that concept. Anyway, now Patanjali is going to tell us about the fruits. I will just give you one instance to really comment on this topic. See, Patanjali says, Ahimsa pratisthayam tat sannidhau vairatyagaha. Find out, will it happen if you are practicing your moral ethical Ahimsa? Will it happen that because of you, because of your proximity, the tiger will not hunt a deer, antelope, or a cattle, or a prey animal? Will the predator give up, not only give up attacking the prey animals, but go and embrace them warmly and affectionately? Will it happen by your practicing Ahimsa? Not by wildest imagination you can come to that conclusion. But that's how Patanjali mentions that the tiger and deer, or in vicinity of tiger, the deer, antelope, the cattle, will all be in a wonderful fabric of fraternity, as if they are all friends. Now, any amount of imagination will not land you in such a conclusion. It will not happen. That the predators have given enmity to prey animals, and the prey animals have given up enmity with the predators. This will never happen. But that is what happens with Ahimsa, vrata, siddhi. So that gives little clue as to what is difference between Ahimsa, vritti, Ahimsa, adarshaavad on one hand, and then Ahimsa, vrata in yoga. So, what Patanjali is now commencing will help us to construe as to what is Ahimsa. And of course, I have already explained you what is Ahimsa and what is Satya and what is Asteya, etc. But the basis for that description is what is now coming up. The topic on which we are embarking now. So, that is why it is very important topic called Phalita of Yama Niyamas Pathology. So it's quite an interesting topic, illuminating topic, informative topic, and it will help us get some wisdom about these principles and not just think that these are those well-known moral ethical principles, normative principles. Now basically these are practices which are fit to be vows, vrata, anuvrata and mahavrata. Our moral ethical principle is not something that can become vrata. It doesn't have that ethos. It is only idealistic principle to practice. But whereas if ahimsa has to be vrata, you need ethos. You need a gravity. And it is such a gravity that it nullifies the worldly mundane gravity. As I just now said, in mundane and worldly gravities, it is very difficult to be in ahimsa, vrata. You might be in ahimsa, vritti, and then compromise as and when it is practicable. And that's what we do in our life. We will be practicing those principles. They are good principles, but as and when they are antagonizing us, sometimes even they harm us, or when they deprive us, when they are not only not paying but they are costing us, it would be prudent to just do away with those principles, and that's what we do in our life. When it is convenient, advantageous, we will definitely speak the untruth. Whenever it is advantageous, we will be definitely going for steya, and similarly brahmacharya and parigraha. When you feel that you are getting gratification, why will you not do it? The brahmacharya. If you are deprived of that gratification, you will say, at least for a moment, let me set it aside and have my gratification. After I get gratified, let me again get onto the track of brahmacharya. So this is what is our life. This is how our life is. But when you practice dharma as a dharma tattva, it's a unique condition that these gravities are nullified. And when the mundane gravities are nullified, then you can be in vrata. That's why there is that unique ethos whereby all these gravities are nullified and they stand cancelled That's why it is called Paramartha and not Laukika. So, the Patanjali is commencing to tell us about Ahimsa Pratishtha, Satya Pratishtha, Asteya Pratishtha, Brahmacharya Pratishtha, Aparigraha Pratishtha, Shaucha Pratishtha, Santosha Pratishtha, Tapas Pratishtha, Swadhyaya Pratishtha, Ishvara Pranidhan Pratishtha. What is this Pratishtha? Being established in these principles. So when you are established in these noble principles, you don't really have to face the very worldly kind of gravities, whereby we compromise with so many things, and that too for our own worldly benefit. So, it is not just practicing ahimsa, it is to be established in the principle of ahimsa. It is not just practicing in truth and being in truth, it is to be established in Satya. So also it is to be established in Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha, Shaucha, Santosh, Tapas, Swadhyaya, Pranidhan. So, as a vrata, in the mode of vrata, it is possible that we get established. Otherwise, when they are merely moral ethical practices, we are not established to the extent Patanjali mentions. And the principle, the dharmo rakshati rakshitaha, that dharma protects that person, not only protects tenfold, hundredfold, thousandfold protects, if one protects dharma. So dharma itself gives a shield, and therefore one is saved while in the disinsulated state of worldliness. There are no protective gears, and therefore more often we suffer. While being in dharma, while being in ahimsa, while being in asteya, brahmacharya, parigraha, satya, etc. And that is why we quite conveniently compromise there and get the benefits. Anyway, so there is concept of vrata and then pratishtha in vrata. So in anuvrata, you will not get pratishtha. And that's why, if you recall, I said we must take recourse to anuvrata, taking small dosages of these principles now and then, and slowly become more qualified to be going for a greater dosage. And then the greater dosage can ultimately reach a grade called Mahavrata. So the point is, Ahimsa Pratishtha means it should be understood that it is Mahavrata. So it is Mahavrata and then Satya Pratishtha. Mahavrata, Asteya Pratishtha, and not Anuvrata. Because Anuvrata, very nomenclature and conditions suggest that it is not established, because it comes and goes. That restraint comes and goes. The ethos comes and goes. It fades in and fades out. So what Patanjali is commencing to describe is Ahimsa, Pratishtha, etc. for Yamas, and Shaucha Pratishtha, etc. for niyamas. Now, we had considered what is anuvrata and what is mahavrata. Anuvrata is deshakala nimitta maryadita, avachinna, and mahavrata is deshakala samaya nimitta anavachinna. Anavachinna means not being limited by, and avachinna means limited by time, space, situation. So that's how we have to commence. Those are called anuvratas, that they are on a particular day, particular condition, particular situation, and once that condition goes away, the vrata also gets revoked. So we had seen the definition of anuvrata and mahavrata after we considered the yamas. Patanjali told us about anuvrata and mahavrata concept. He explicitly defined mahavrata in a way that anuvrata also gets defined. Aparichinna is mahavrata, parichinna is anuvrata. So the pratishtha that is being now mentioned has only reference to mahavrata. This should be understood here. The another thing, when it is a mahavrata, you should also understand if it is ahimsa mahavrata, that means it includes satya, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha, shaucha, santosha, tapatva, swadhyaya, ishwaravardhan. Otherwise it is not complete, it's not fully bloomed. You cannot have just ahimsa pratishtha, just satya pratishtha, just asteya pratishtha. That you can't say I am in satya mahavrata, therefore I can violate ahimsa, ahimsa vrata and be in himsa. No. That will be definitely eclipsing your satya vrata, mahavrata. So, in mahavrata, all the vratas are simultaneously coexisting in the same magnitude, in the same intensity. So there is anavachinnata when it is mahavrata. So if one of the vratas is mahavrata, one of the 10, Yama Niyamas 5 plus 5, if one of the 10 is mahavrata, all the other 9 vratas are equally in place. In the same magnitude they are in place. It is not that you have mahavrata of one of the yamas and then others are in anuvrata. No, then that's not mahavrata there. So this is a point to be noted between mahavrata and anuvrata. Anuvrata can be only of ahimsa, only of satya, only of asteya in case of yamas, and then only shaucha, only santosha, only tapas, etc. in case of only niyamas, because they are atomic. But mahavratas are great vows and they are always coming in a package of 10. And 10, all the 10 in same magnitude. So this is a point to be noted. So in brief, there is no chance or no possibility of just ahimsa mahavrata in place, and other vratas may be anuvrata or not even vrata. This is not possible even exceptionally. So this is a point that must be noted. And then when it is mahavrata, means himsa, asatya, steya, etc. yamas, ashaucha, asantosha, tapabhav, etc. niyamas. uh, they are all in place. Nowhere, nothing is violated. Not even one of the 10 vratas is violated. Not even one. They are all included. That's the integral aspect of these Mahavratas. So, what is this Mahavrata? Again, let us recall this. I had told you about this. What is Mahavrata? Mahavrata means it is not that you are not at all in Ahimsa, Satya and Steya, etc. But not even a slightest, very slightest vibration in the deep psyche bubbling up in the form of Himsa, Asatya, Steya, Abrahmacharya and Parigraha. The Vitarka Badha should not be there in a deep aspect of psychic consciousness even. If there is a slight ripple, then that is not Mahavrata. So the Mahavrata is always practiced at core. It is always at core. It doesn't consider just the peripheral surface mind and keep the scrutiny that there is no violation. No. There should be no violation of it in whatsoever magnitude. Very, very, very microscopic even. There should be no violation in a very deep plane of mind. So that is what is Mahavrata. So, this is the prelude to the topic that we have commenced. Basically, etymology pratishtha. When it is pratishtha, it means that there should be no vitarka badha in a very deep plane of mind and psychic consciousness. And this is only possible to a yogi, because for you and me, perhaps we will have superficial, peripheral, surface ahimsa in us, satya, asteya, brahmacharya in us, but in deep psyche there is a tumult, or at least there is some vibration. Now that is not allowed in Mahavrata, and therefore it is only possible to an accomplished yogi. And then with that vitarka badha not taking place in any plane of your psyche consciousness, the deep and deeper and deeper and deeper and deepmost plane of consciousness, then there is no any rebelling force, revolt, or just nominal vibration of vitarka. This is what is characteristic of Mahavrata. So when it is like that, that is why it is called Ahimsa Pratishtha, Satya Pratishtha, Atseya Pratishtha. That is being well established, completely established in Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Parigraha, completely established in Shaucha, Santosh, Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishvara, Pranidhana. And then the Phalita, the fruit of it, is being mentioned. In such a case, what is the consequence? That is being mentioned. So now, with this prelude, we are embarking upon the topic of Mahavrata Siddhi. But that will be from next session. Namaskar all of you.